Hey everyone, I'm Necromuncher. Let's draw Glassburn. I'd recommend watching the whole Worldbuilding Glassburn playlist from the start if you haven't, link in the card on the top right and in the video description. For any of you who are still here, welcome back. Today I'll be exploring some of the wildlife present in Glassburn, including animals, their interactions with each other, and their role in civilization if such exists. Unlike the chapter where I explored the concept of the burrow town and the Gonlin, this time we'll take a look at the broader range of animals with a less mythical scale, pun intended. In the drawing you can see the creature I chose to focus on, the Listrach. I mentioned Listraches and hinted at their role in several previous chapters of this series, and if you remember what I said about the Earth being mostly comprised of large swaths of untamed plains, you would probably see how a long-distance running creature evolved as a best fit, along with some others. In the scene, I depict a group of Listraches, and while I still haven't come up with a name for such a group, they are observed performing various typical activities that we'd often see during springtime. First, and far from foremost, a fleet of fine friends in flight or flee through the far field. As I mentioned, Listraches are long-distance runners, and do so mostly to catch food, migrate, stay in shape, and flee from predators of their own. I drew inspiration for the body structure, specifically their legs, from the most frightening, fast-running animals I can think of, the ostrich, and its near cousin the emu. When you have the time, go read about Australia's war against the emus, a guaranteed laugh unless you're an Aussie veteran, in which case, sorry. Anyway, the ostrich is the fastest bird on land as well as the fastest running animal on two legs. They can reach a reliable speed of about 60 km an hour and a top sprinting speed of 90 km an hour. For my imperial viewers, that's like real fast. That's while being so insanely anti-aerodynamic, what with having a giant fluffy feather ball for a body. And I can't be the only one thinking of a bald ostrich right now. So, mostly ostrich legs, with hints of a Jesus lizard, fully radial hip joints, some raptor feet, and a little bit of inconsistency from one Listrach to another. I'll talk about that in a fruits and seeds part at the end. Aside from having legs for days, the Listrach also has a very large mouth, at the front of a very conical head. The latter is mostly for being aerodynamic and hydrodynamic, where the first is a result of needing to catch prey whole. Here we'll jump to the actual foremost group of Listraches, focusing on the couple on the right. The one with the head up scooped a bunch of water and is now drinking it, nothing super special here. The other, with its head fully in the water, probably saw a potential meal. You see, I planned the Listraches to have a retractable neck, much like the green heron, where it can basically load a punch except the fist is its head. Think of it like a snake retracting, then jumping for a bite. But what do they even eat? So far in the series we've talked about many animals, including Listraches, of course, birds, fireflies, small cats, big cats, and gonlins. We never talked about what's in the water. In truth, I don't think at any point in this series I even depicted a body of water in a drawing, except maybe that's Freezing Creek in the Dwarves Origin chapter. So, what's in the water? Fish, amphibians, algae and water plants, vertebrates and invertebrates, water insects, water reptiles, water mammals, and basically every category we have in our world, probably populated with different specific creatures who are adapted to the world of Glassburn. Large whale-like creatures, maybe. Small froggy types, probably. Mosquitoes laying eggs in stale water, well, sort of, not the mosquitoes you're familiar with. The list is honestly both too long to read here and incomplete, as even if this was a full-time job, which it isn't, I wouldn't be able to come up with the entire variety of biodiverse life forms populating even a small biosphere, let alone a planet. Have a favorite animal you want to know if it's in Glassburn? Ask away in the comment. Mine is pangolin, and not only are they in Glassburn, well, you saw the Burrow Towns chapter, and I never hid the inspiration for the Gonlin. Heck, it's in the name. Back to what the Listraches eat. When near water, fish mostly. When not near water, small mammals like rabbits, rats, or aggregates will get to them, as well as small lizards, large enough insects and other arthropods, and even ground-living birds such as grouse, quail, and the Glassburn chickens. All this running requires a whole lot of energy, so an adult Listrach can each eat up to half its body weight every day, and as I mentioned, it isn't picky about the source of that weight. But what would eat a Listrach? Basically, anything big enough and fast enough that eats meat. Gonlins are one example, but also big cats or large water reptiles such as crocs. Glassburn's Earth is very biodiverse, and there really could be larger, meaner things that could definitely eat a Listrach. An example of a large, mean predator who uses their mind to hunt is humans. Humans tend to try and own everything, animals included. In Glassburn, humans use Listraches much like we use horses. In the past, much like goats, some human communities even tried to cultivate Listraches specifically for food. It didn't really work, as this social, long-distance running group of predators just didn't take captivity well enough to be a reliable source. Listraches are still being hunted and trapped from time to time by people traveling the plains. Back in the days, the dwarven intricists used to trap a running Listrach as a coming-of-age ceremony for trapmakers, where failure meant a night of hunger and success meant a feast. The last two Listraches I wanted to talk about are the male and female on the left. He is desperately trying to court her with his dance. He flares out his colorful scales, striking a pose that makes him look big, and is singing lovely songs of the birds and the bees? I'm not entirely certain there are bees as we know them. There are many pollinators on Glassburn's Earth, that's for sure, but for some reason I wanted to give bees a more fantastical twist. When planning for another video in the series, I thought about two types of honey being used. One that's sweet and golden like we know it, and another, more sour and pale, that has a unique quality. It glows. Why? Because I think it's cool. But also, I wanted pieces of nature to magnify the belief people have in Gale and Alat. Imagine a person who fully dedicated their life to practice discovery of light in the dark, and in spite of all warnings about predators in the night, they went to study nocturnal animal behavior. Then, found a big hive glowing from inside with a pale yellow light, buzzing with emberflies. That must have felt like a divine revelation. Now, the world isn't all plains. We know there are mountains where male Gonlins hunt, and we know there are forests, which the Shamsborough townfolk mimic with their green roof tiles. There are also deserts, tundras, grass hills, deep ravines and canyons, seashores and lakes, swamps, bogs, and islands of all types. Each biome, each area is a habitat for weird and wonderful animals, some of which we know from our home world and some new. That's it for today, a bit of a short one for a change. I hope you enjoyed this nature film-esque kiddie pool dive into the Glassburn wilds. As I'm proceeding with this process of attempted improvement, it's time again for two fruits and a seed. I explained the process at length in my previous video, but in short, these are two things about my process that are worth keeping and one that has left some room for improvement. The first fruit for today is the techniques. I did it. I used gradient maps to add color, and while I'm very obviously new to this, it worked reasonably well. Also, I didn't stall on details. Most everything here is loose and done with a more expressionist approach. This is still very much pseudo-realism, but I managed to get a good enough result with less detailing. The second fruit for today is striking a balance between design and variation. It's sort of an offshoot of the loose drawing point, but it's worth its own focus. What I mean by this balance is this. I drew 7 Listraches here, and while I did copy and paste at some point, I didn't try to make them all physically identical to one another. The loose process and sense of speed allowed this natural variation to emerge, which is a good fit for this drawing. Alongside the variety, there is a clear design and shape for the Listraches, from head to tip of tail. The males can be recognized by their colorful scales and the females for their extra spiky defensive tail hammer thingy. The seed for today is mostly managerial and not artistic or even lore related, so I'll keep it short. I'm having trouble with time management, which means my schedule is very overbooked and I didn't finish the video before the release deadline. As a result, the art is not polished as I wished it to be, and so is the narration, sound edit, video edit, and general quality. Sorry. I'll try to make the next chapter of Glassburn better for you. On another note, congratulations! The channel is 1. We're having a birthday and celebrating a whole year of amateurishly edited, lightly accented, geeky, nerdy, messy, lore-heavy, talk-heavy, and in my opinion, very charming art videos. This is the lucky 13th video, so if you wanna go watch the first ever art video I made, where I make a video frame for the channel, I won't stop you. In fact, the link is in the card and in the description. Thank you everyone for sticking around with me as I stumble forwards, mostly, and make this weird content that I like. If you want to support the channel so I can make stuff up for another year, you can like, subscribe, and share this video to your friends or foes. It's free and it would really help me out. Also, someone told me about the bell thing that you can press so it sends you alerts about new videos I release. I don't know how it's different from the subscribe button, but sure, there's also a bell. Anyway, thanks again for watching, tell me in the comments what you want to see next, and for now, bye!